Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Out of the Ice. As we stated last time, we are discussing the first two discs of my DVD collection of Batman. So this is, I think, the first...
It was episode.
It's episode 1 through
14.
14 of season 1.
Yeah.
Some good episodes in here. Some that are just like, obviously they were gaining their footing.
Yeah. But very definitely the pilot, because when we watched the pilot, I'm just like, okay, this is just a animated Batman.
I like the pilot, honestly.
I don't know. I just found it kind of.
It's a bit looser and a bit more like it doesn't feel like it has the ability to take as much time to kind of really set up the thing, because they're trying to do a lot of things at once to kind of really give a sense of this is what the show could be.
Yeah.
But there's also some really good animation in it. And Batman bleeds.
Yeah, and I will say that because we had guns.
Mm-hmm.
Guns. And it did give, looking back, I guess it does give a good idea of the show. If for anything, one of my notes was, God, the police are useless. I feel like that's just going to be, outside of a character we meet later, I feel like it's just going to be a reoccurring theme.
There are a few cops that are not useless, but, primarily, Gordon,
mm-hmm.
Bullock, and Montoya.
Yeah. I already forgot his name. The first one you said, that's the commissioner, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Commissioner is all for Batman, which has been funny to see, especially with the other guy just being like, Batman.
Yeah. Well, because like the show, it doesn't show you Batman like, this isn't Batman year one. Batman's already been a thing. He just hasn't been completely, not everyone in the public knows that he is real.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of interesting. There's still that like mysticism and superstition about Batman, but the cops already know about him, which is a great place to start.
Yeah.
But yeah, so episode 1 is On Leather Wings, mm-hmm. and that has Man-Bat in it. And like I said, there's a bit of stuff that is kind of, like, oh, they're getting their footing here, but the animation is still great.
Mm-hmm.
That part where the transformation into Man-Bat is, like, I could imagine if I had seen that when I was a really little kid, I would have been horrified. Because, like, that's some body horror shit right there.
I mean, and I told you this while we were watching the show, like when we first watched the intro and we have that shot of Batman on top of the building with the thunder and lightning in the background. Yeah. I've seen it before, I'm sure, because when I was a kid, I had a dream of that exact same scene. I was probably like,
have you ever had dreams?
And it scared me shitless to the point where I had to go to, like the scared child I am. I'm like, Mommy, I had a bad dream about Batman. And she's just like, it's okay, sweetie, just come
What
here.
the fuck is a Batman?
My mom knew, at least she knows who Batman
What
is.
the fuck is a Batman?
Stop!
Hold on.
Stop using
let
that.
Let mommy drink a cocktail.
Right, stop!
Glug.
Stop! What if my mom listens to this someday?
I mean, to be fair, Mrs. Arias, the first time I met you in person, we went to dinner and you immediately asked for the alcohol menu. That makes an impression. What's the alcohol here? Do you sell it anywhere?
Stop. But anywho's, yeah, Batman doesn't seem like it doesn't shy away from, like, this can be terrifying.
Yeah, and going forward, you'll see that more, especially like when it's got its best writers and stuff on it. Mm-hmm. But it also, like, it's interesting. A lot of people have said this, so I'm not really saying anything new, but it's true, so I don't mind repeating it. The show has a reputation for kind of amalgamationing all of the aspects of Batman throughout the years in a way that's very homogenous and becomes its own thing. Like, it has the goofiness of the Silver Age comics and the Adam West show, but then it also has the darkness of the Tim Burton stuff, and then the action of the comics, but also the detective side of the comics, which the movies have never done well.
Yeah, like, again,
they've never done well.
But, like,
they barely even touch on it.
Yeah, like, I don't think, like, looking back, like, when we watched the other two Batman movies with
I think
Michael Keaton, I don't think they even said detective once.
They didn't say detective, and yet those are the ones that illustrate him being a detective the best.
Which is crazy to me, because I didn't even think about it that way.
Yeah, because, like, he did figure out who Joker was. Mm-hmm. He did figure out how to stop the chemical stuff, but that's more scientist than detective. Mm-hmm. And then he also, was able to get ahead of Penguin in the other movies and stuff like that, and was able to kind of switch around on him by secretly recording it, which is a very private eye thing.
Yeah.
But, again, like, I would love a Batman movie that really takes to the noir aspect of detective comics and makes a mystery movie with Batman in it, where he has to be a lot more of a detective, show that brilliant deductive side of Bruce Wayne, and just call it World's Greatest Detective, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, that would be great, because, like, you have the movies Dark Knight, Man of Steel, why not World's Greatest Detective? And I think that would be good, especially if you really lean into the noir setting. Then you can really play with the shadows and the colors and still have some action and stuff. But here's the best way to do it: make it a period piece, just like an Elseworld story, like the recent Joker movie, which is set in the either late 70s or early 80s. I think early 80s. But make a Batman story in the 40s. Give him the original 40s costume, where it's just like, basically just a padded batsuit and purple gloves, because that's what he had at the time, and really lean into the detective side of it and make it so that he's not as strong, doesn't have as many gadgets, really has to work with what he can get, Like, he doesn't have a bat plane, but he can fly a biplane if he finds one, like, that kind of stuff. That would be really, really cool. Mm-hmm. They'd never do it. They'd never do it, ever. And that makes me sad. But, anyway. So this kind of mixes all of the stuff of Batman, and that's, I think, why so many people are like, this is the truest form of Batman. And that's why the Arkham games kind of see themselves as spiritual successors of the show. Okay. Like Kevin Conroy is Batman in the show and in the Arkham games. Mark Hamill is Joker in the Arkham games and the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it kind of shows itself. Like, the Arkham games have Harley Quinn, who is she's in the comics now, but she originates in the cartoon. We haven't seen her yet, but we will. And she's kind of the mark of, like, okay, now this show truly knows what it is. And also, Harley Quinn was based on a character from Days of Our Lives.
You're shitting me.
No. And was played by the actress who played the character.
I love it.
I think specifically it was based on a dream sequence episode with the character, but still. Fun little factoid. And then nowadays she's played by Tara Strong, I think because the original actress passed away. Oh, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah.
But still.
Neat.
And Tara does a good job. Tara's a great voice actress. She's also, I think she was Bubbles in the Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, okay.
And was Raven in Teen Titans.
That's what I thought that sounded familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. She's also Timmy Turner.
I always forget that. So we go on to episode 2, and this is where the show got sold to me, because Mark Hamill's Joker is amazing.
And I believe that was the first episode aired. Not on Leather Wings.
You know what? I think that was a good call.
Yeah. But, like, I think that was the first one. And it's the only episode that we've seen so far with Robin in it.
Yeah. I keep forgetting Robin's a thing because he's only there once.
He's only there once. He'll show up a little bit more as the show goes on. And then once we get to New Batman Adventures, which takes place after Superman the Animated Series, so it's going to take a bit to get there, then we will have Tim Drake as Robin, because there's a time skip.
Okay.
Because I think the first Justice League has also happened by New Batman Adventures. Don't quote me on that. I'd have to look at the timeline for the DC animated universe. But we should have Tim Drake as Robin at that point. And then Dick Grayson as Nightwing.
Okay.
So, and that gets some good stuff. And makes it even more confusing as to where the fuck Teen Titans is supposed to
fit in all this.
Fit in if it does.
I pretty much at this point, just from all the, just in general, from all the conflicting things going on with
I don't
Teen
think
Titans,
it is.
I don't think. I think it's literally just its own self-contained universe.
Yeah, which is weird because it was going on at the same time as all the DCAU stuff. Mm-hmm. But whatever. It's a good show. I'm not gonna be mad about it. Teen Titans Go is not...
Why?
Like, I am not faulting the actors. They still do a good job as their characters when they're allowed to. I am not faulting the writers. They were told to do something different, and they did. I'm not faulting the animators. The animation is fine. I'm faulting the fact that if you were going to make another Teen Titans show, and it wasn't what everybody wanted... Why use the exact same character designs and character roster of the one that everybody wanted? Because all that's going to do is immediately create potential for comparisons. I think the better choice would have been making it with the original roster of the Teen Titans, aka Robin, Aqualad, Wonder Girl, and Speedy.
Okay.
That's, like, basically make it Teen Titans Year 1. Because then, like, think about it. Aqualad has to constantly hydrate himself. Mm-hmm. They even make a joke about that in Teen Titans 1 where they call him an aquatic boy who must constantly wet himself. Like, it's like the joke of, I blued myself. It's got to be a better way to say that. Like, that has a lot of potential. But no, they wanted to have the recognizability, and it kind of shot him in the face.
Yeah, and it's like, we'll do something different. Well, how is that going to work? Because if you're going to make something as iconic as the original Teen Titans, try to make it into something different, but everything still looks exactly the same, but still very different, you're immediately just going to alienate an entire fan base that way.
Yeah. And again, the Teen Titans Go has its own fans, and that's fine. If you like it, you're allowed to. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying I think it was a bad move right out the gate on Cartoon Network. Mm-hmm. It just was a bad idea to just try to ride the high of that stuff. Anyway, this is about a thing that I have grown up with, so expect a lot of tangents this episode. I'm sorry.
And let me tell you, as someone that didn't really start liking like any sort of superhero things until
the MCU, right?
Until MCU,
yeah.
Like when you're like listing off the original Teen Titans, I'm just sitting there like, I only know Robin out of those 4 names.
Well, Aqualad showed up in the original Teen Titans show, but it was a different Aqualad.
Yeah.
Wonder Girl now is known as Donna Troy, and oh boy, the comic writers have a tough time giving her a consistent character. Because originally she was teenage Wonder Woman helping out adult Wonder Woman with no explanation as to why she was there. Then it was a sister. Then it was a sister, as in like just how Romans called friends brother. You know, like brother in arms, so sister in arms.
Okay.
And then it was a clone, and then it was not a clone, alternate dimension.
We have this character, but we don't know what to do with her. People
like her, we like her. We have no fucking idea how she happened. Maybe she's an alien. I don't know.
But yeah, anyway, Joker breaking out of jail was pretty great. Just jetting.
How did he make that tree into a rocket? Who cares? It's
the
Joker. You know, and he's just dashing through the roof with a one-horse open tree.
And I love the whole episode because Bruce was just not having Christmas. He hates it.
It's almost like probably a holiday centered around being together with family is kind of traumatic for an orphan.
Yeah, very true, very true.
Meanwhile, Dick Grayson, who is also technically an orphan, but was then very quickly taken in by Bruce and Alfred, is much more, optimistic about it.
Yeah.
So he's just like, oh, come on, It's a Wonderful Life, it's a great movie. We should have gone through one more thing. It's like, oh my God, Bruce, come on. Maybe Joker doesn't want to make crime on Christmas, all right? Maybe he's waiting a day or two. And then they turn on the TV and Christmas with the Joker.
Oh, I lost it when I saw the cardboard cutouts of the audience.
Including Batman and Robin.
Yes.
I hate Batman. Well, then let's get rid of him. Click. Boom. Blows up the cardboard version. And then we see that he's somehow kidnapped Commissioner Gordon, Bullock, and Barbara Gordon. Future Batgirl. Mm-hmm. And so Batman and Robin, spring off into action, and they're trying to figure out where he is. Hijinks ensue. There's a giant Jack-in-the-Box at one point.
I wrote a note saying Santa Tank.
Santa Tank, yes. And they eventually find him in a abandoned toy factory, and Joker ends up, dangling over a thing of boiling acid.
Yeah.
And then they go home and watch It's a Wonderful Life, and Bruce Wayne begrudgingly admits that it was a decent movie.
Good old Christmas.
Yeah. Then the third episode.
A scarecrow.
Yes, Scarecrow. Jonathan Crane. He's a villain who uses fear toxin to try to terrorize people and essentially make them unable to attack him.
Yeah.
While he goes and steals shit. And he gets the toxin into Batman, and so we get a kind of a dive into Batman's psyche, where, we see what he's afraid of. He bats, his parents' death, feeling like a disgrace to his parents, all this stuff. But we also get a very iconic scene where, in trying to conquer his fear, it's like, you are disappointment, Bruce. No, I am vengeance. I am the knight. I am Batman. And so then he punches Scarecrow many times.
Yeah.
So kind of all to say about that episode is just the introduction of the Scarecrow, and we'll get multiple different versions of the Scarecrow because they kind of had an issue with, like, man, how do we put him on the screen? Oh. Like, you might have even noticed the first one, he was a lot more, like, lanky and stuff, and then, like, he looked a bit different.
Oh, I didn't notice. I'll have to look at that later.
Yeah, because I think we saw 2 episodes with him.
I don't think we did.
Oh, maybe we haven't seen his second appearance yet then.
No, because I only remember the Scarecrow showing up once.
Okay. Well, as it goes on, you'll see that he changes a lot.
Mm-hmm. So episode 4, I think I must have. It was a late night episode because I only have one note from it. It was a Joker episode, but I think I fell asleep at halfway through. Whoopsie daisy.
Yeah. Hold on. What was episode 4? Let me get the box. Yeah.
Go, Scott, go.
I think it was...
And again, it's not out of, like, I'm falling asleep because I'm bored. I'm falling asleep because I am a toddler that's incapable of staying up past 9:30 most nights.
I forget what...
But it was a Joker episode.
It's called The Last Laugh.
Yeah.
But I forget what it was. It wasn't Be a Clown. That was episode 9. Let me try to look up the synopsis, jog my memory.
To Wikipedia.
Alright, hold on. Batman TAS episode 4.
Episodes.
Okay, hold on.
Let's see. Come on.
Ah, okay. It was Captain Clown.
Oh, Captain Clown. Okay, for some reason. It was a prediction when I saw the title episode.
Yeah.
All right.
The Joker's plot to send all of Gotham into insanity with Joker gas from a garbage scow leads to a battle in the water. So this is the one where we'll probably have to rewatch this.
Yeah,
because I might have been tired during that too.
Yeah.
Or I was too busy trying to keep your ass awake.
Probably both.
But I remember this a bit because I've seen it multiple times. Essentially, a garbage boat goes into the Gotham harbor, and just these fumes start coming off of it, and it's filled with Joker toxin. So it starts, driving everybody insane and making them laugh and all of this stuff. And Batman has to go and get to it. There's also a very big robot called Captain Clown. Mm-hmm. And there's a great Joker line where Batman destroys the robot, and Joker's like, "You killed Captain Clown. You killed Captain Clown!" Probably gonna have to adjust that afterwards.
Ooh.
Sorry, everyone.
It wasn't even that loud. You just had some sort of...
I projected.
Yeah, you projected very well.
Rip headphone users, I apologize. But yeah, so basically just a very basic Joker episode. It's an early one.
Okay. And then we get Poison Ivy in episode 5.
Poison Ivy.
Good God, she was insane.
Yeah.
I love her, but I loved her, honestly, but she's fucking insane. Absolutely
batshit crazy.
I liked the beginning of the episode where we get that land development flashback, and I it was obvious it was a flashback with the colors they used for that part. It was it almost looked like old-timey movie. Yeah,
and this one is a good show of Batman actually being a detective, mm-hmm. because, he figures out that, because, Ivy tries to kiss Bruce at a certain point. She's currently dating Harvey Dent, and has completely seduced him, kisses him while wearing poison lipstick, and, of course, Harvey, is poisoned and is sent to the hospital. Isley then visits, but is not allowed in. So, she's all like, "Oh, I'm so upset," and stuff like this. Bruce gets her to her car, and she leans in to try to, kiss him out of appreciation. But he dodges and hugs, and then starts to put it together like, wait, she kissed him, and suddenly he's sick. Then she just tried to kiss me.
Yeah, he went in for that hug because I assumed that he kind of knew something might have been up with her.
Possibly, but also he was probably just trying to not kiss Harvey's girlfriend.
Also true, yeah.
Seeing as how Harvey Dent is his friend.
Yeah. Also true.
But so he is like, okay, so if the poison is from a flower that's supposedly extinct. But if Isley's the one who's doing it, she has one. If she has the flower, he can use it and create an antitoxin. So he goes to where she supposedly works and finds out that she goes by Poison Ivy and is using plants to try to get rid of the people who did this land development thing. I think it was to create a prison.
Yeah.
Yeah. Create... Probably Blackgate, but I don't think they said Blackgate, because Blackgate is the prison in Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
And so, which is very interesting, because she gets sent to Blackgate at the end, not Arkham.
Huh.
That's interesting. Huh. Anyway.
Worst prison ever, because they also let her keep her fucking
They let
plants.
her keep her plant.
Her crazy plant.
Although, to be fair, they didn't show that she can control plants yet.
No, they didn't.
They didn't show that.
Her nightmare plant that tried to kill Bruce was like, it felt kind of like almost like an actual animal of itself.
It was kind of like an Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I'm just wondering why they didn't show that, but they probably just didn't need to. But later on, we will see that she can control plants and talk to them and stuff like this. But yeah, so she gets put away after successfully poisoning Batman, but Batman is able to kind of accidentally set the place on fire. And then while he's in a trap dangling, he grabs the rare, almost extinct plant.
Pretty much almost practically holding it at gunpoint.
Holding it at spike point. And is like, either you give me the antidote or both me and the plant fall. And she's like, no! And there's some great acting by Ivy's voice actress. Like, she like flips on a dime between like acting upset and just going fucking nuts. Great shit. Really like playing into that unhinged nature. And then episode 6 is The Underdwellers, which is not one of my favorite episodes. I think it's a little bit like it could have been better. Yeah. A little bit more focused. Mm-hmm. But the idea behind it is interesting. Essentially, this man had that... What was he called?
I think he just called himself the Under King.
The Under King. Okay. He has taken in a bunch of like orphans or missing kids and all this stuff, and is using them essentially as slaves to work underground in the sewer systems, and is kind of lording over them as a king. Says they're not allowed to talk or make any noise, even if they yelp out in pain. Like, and then they've been in the dark so long that he threatens them with light because like it hurts their eyes and causes them physical pain and stuff like this. And eventually, Batman finds one of them, takes them in, and helps get the kids out. And this is another one where it shows a bit more of the detective thing, because he pulls out a camera from the utility belt, says evidence, and starts taking pictures to show what this guy has done so that he can actually be put away. Yeah. And that's something that I've always found very interesting about Batman, is that they focus on the fact that Batman does gather evidence to help and actually get them put away.
Trying to work with the police force.
Yeah, where a lot of comic book characters, it's just like, oh, Spider-Man beat them up, I guess you're arrested now.
Yeah,
like it's just kind of interesting. It's like, oh well, I mean, you're a supervillain and you're tied up in webs, you're going to jail.
Another takeaway from the episode for me was that Alfred needs a pay raise because that kid was being a real shit. Yeah.
Alfred shows himself to be a bit of a hero himself in some of these episodes.
Alfred's best boy.
So yeah, Batman saves the kids.
The city, Gotham, gains 20 orphans that day.
At least. And then on to, let's see. Oh, so this is a POV, I believe.
Mm-hmm. The 3 different retellings.
Yeah, the 3 different retellings. At first is Bullock's telling, and he tries to, like, essentially anytime he fucks up, and we see him fuck up, his narration of telling the event says, like, oh, it must have been Batman that fucked up, or something like this. You know, it tries to play himself off as the hero, and Batman as a nuisance and a menace, to try to make himself look good and justify why he went in early. Then we have the Rookie, who, like, we get a sort of a look at what the layman thinks Batman is, because him not understanding and not being used to seeing Batman in action, you know, in the shock, he didn't notice that it was a batarang that Batman flew. He just saw the glint of them, and is like, he just waved his hand and sparks flew out, and suddenly the bad guys went down. You know? And it's like he just pointed and the guy got knocked out. Like something fired from his thing and then he flew away.
Oh, Rookie.
Yeah, it was very interesting. And then we go to Montoya's, who is the best cop in the show.
She's. I love her already.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see more of her.
Where she relates that she tried to help Batman take out the bad guys, but then the building started collapsing because it was on fire, and as far as she knows, Batman got buried in the burning rubble and might be dead. So then the commissioner and then somebody above him, I think it was superintendent or something, not superintendent, that's for schools, but like whatever the equivalent of that is, the person over commissioner, is grilling these guys, and the commissioner, trusting his cops, specifically these three, is just like, hey, you're going too far. It's like, no, you shove off, commissioner, this is my interrogation, and suspends them. It's like, give me your badges and guns. All of you get full pay, but you're suspended.
Oh, too true to life. You were bad at your job. Time to reward you for it.
Yep.
But Montoya is amazing.
Yeah, Montoya
yeeted a bad guy at one point.
Yeah, just threw him. But then she's still kind of obsessed with what's going on, and figures out that a word that one of the guys said was dock, as in not like a doctor, but D-O-C-K for the harbor. And so she goes, investigates, and finds Batman captured, and helps him get out. And, of course, gets all three reinstated.
Yeah.
So, good job, Montoya. Good job, Batman. Fun version of a story. I love seeing POV. And they would actually revisit this in DC animated stuff around the time of Arkham City. In fact, this came with my collector's edition of Arkham City, was a straight-to-DVD movie called Gotham Knight. And it was just a bunch of short anthology stories of civilians interacting with Batman and not really understanding what he is.
Okay. That sounds cool.
It's like, oh, there was this thing, and like, nah, he's like this. Nah, he's like this. Nah, he's a dancer. There's a if I remember correctly, there's a flamboyant kid that's talking about Batman, and his description is like a mix between Adam West Batman and just like Silver Age, but very, very gay. And I'm like, this is probably offensive, but also highly entertaining in the way they're portraying this. God, I hope this isn't offensive, because I'm having fun. Oh my God, this Liberace kid. Hello, I'm Batman. Whatever, man.
So next we move on to Batman gets amnesia.
Yeah, so some people are disappearing from the Gotham slums, specifically around a soup kitchen. Batman, well, technically Bruce Wayne, finds out about this, and instead of disguising himself as Batman, he disguises himself as a detective would, just kind of like, actually changing himself and making himself look like a person down on his luck. And starts, traveling around and trying to get into the trouble that's causing these people to go missing. He successfully does and starts taking them out, but one of them sneaks up behind him and whacks him on the head with a billy club and drags him off to an internment camp, sort of.
Yeah.
It's like an illegal work camp. And when he wakes up, the brain injury has caused him to have temporary amnesia. Working out in the hot sun is probably not helping.
Oh, no.
So we get this thing, and we see that, it's interesting because there are some more dives into Bruce's psyche with this. Like, we see a point where he's back at the soup kitchen. Mm-hmm. Like, his brain is trying to remind him who he is. And we see Bruce Wayne, like a homeless or needy person, comes out and puts out his hand, like, please help me. And Bruce immediately, with a smile, pulls out $100 bill and gives it to the guy. And then another shows up, gives it, another, and finally he's out of bills, and all he can do is like shed a tear for the people he can't help in the city, just as himself.
There's only so much Bruce Wayne can do.
Yeah, there's only so much Bruce can do. So it's kind of like, this is part of the reason why Batman exists and is needed in the city. It's not just about vengeance. It's about a man trying
to just
bring his city back from the edge of the void.
He literally just tackling all the corruption and the issues of Gotham head on.
And another thing that kind of illustrates that is that, like, Bruce isn't just going around as Batman to beat up criminals. Like, he also, as Bruce Wayne, this billionaire who is known to be a playboy, is donating his time to a soup kitchen to help peel potatoes.
Yeah.
Like, so even though a lot of people that are in the higher society think that Bruce Wayne is just some idiot playboy, as Bruce, he's still also trying to do good. Mm-hmm. Like, he's trying on both sides.
And he's not doing it for for photo ops or... Yeah.
No. Apparently nobody knows, because, like, there's nobody there, like, taking pictures or anything like that.
Yeah, which
nobody knows.
Yeah, because when you said that, I was thinking about that. Like, I'm like, well, how would they not know? And I'm like, wait a second. They're not publicizing Bruce Wayne going out and doing these acts of good.
Yeah, and that's why I'm always a little cynical when it's like, oh, this person, creates a charity thing. Yeah, and I'm sure there were tons of people there ready to take camera pictures as he signed
Enjoy the tax breaks.
Like, any billionaires out there, you're not listening. But if you somehow happen to, do some good and don't fucking parade it. Just do it. Yeah. You don't need to have a photo op for it. Just go and help out.
In my experience, I've noticed that the people that have the least are typically the most giving. Mm-hmm. And
and I think the reason for that is just maybe because they know more of how that kind of feels.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not saying that I have the least. Definitely not. I'm a white guy in the Midwest who grew up in a middle income family. I'm pretty privileged compared to some people, like, say, in the inner city who didn't have nearly as many opportunities as I did. Mm-hmm. But if anything, I understand that privilege, and I'm like, yes, anytime that a person is like, hey, we're doing a donation here, I'm going to try to at least round up to the nearest dollar.
Use the resources you have and donate what you can. Like you said, you round up.
Yeah.
I throw $25 at the Central Illinois... I throw $25 a month at the Central Illinois Food Bank because, especially with everything going on, it's like, I used to be a broke bitch. I didn't have any money to work through. I have so much money in debt for school, but I'm like, I have a decent job now. I'm doing fine. I'm not hungry. Let's help those people that need help.
And, everybody has different amounts of privilege and resources that they're able to use. Some of us just have the ability to, at the moment, round up a drive-through order. Some of us have bat planes and batmobiles and batarangs and beat up criminals who would otherwise hurt people.
Yeah.
So back to Batman. A cave-in almost happens. Like, kind of a lot of just stuff happens. Alfred investigates on his end, seeing that Bruce isn't around, and realizes that he is missing, all this stuff. Eventually, finds out where Bruce is, and around the same time, there's this thing called the Hot Box, and Bruce and another person get in there, and just the heat and, the current topic of conversation that they're having, trying to, not go insane, finally jogs the memory back into Bruce, and it's funny because immediately he stops talking like Bruce would, and his voice gets lower and more determined and aggressive because he's now in Batman mode.
Yeah.
I love that. How, that started with Michael Keaton. Because Adam West didn't really talk all that differently as Batman. He had a different enunciation pattern that he did that a lot of people don't give him credit for. But that thing of him kind of like pausing and talking in this way, almost kind of Shatnering. Like, at least in the episodes that I've seen, Adam West as Bruce Wayne doesn't do that, but Batman does.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different, but still, then we have Michael Keaton, who talks one way as Bruce, and then much more, low register and almost kind of in a whisper, and stuff like this as Batman. And apparently Michael Keaton, I think I said this in the Batman podcast, but he wanted to wear contacts as Batman, which is a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
But they were like, no, we don't need to do that. But then Kevin Conroy took that idea and did it much further, where when he's Bruce Wayne, he talks in a much higher register and really puts on a thing of being an optimist and all this stuff. And then as Batman, he talks like this and has a much more aggressive tone. But the interesting thing is, this seems to be much more what he's naturally like, because even when he's just as Bruce, but only talking to Alfred, he talks more like that.
Yeah, okay. I'll try to pay attention to that when we get further in.
Well, as it goes on, too, we'll see stuff where, like, he has to answer the phone as Bruce in Batman costume.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I'm doing this thing on the back computer. Call for Bruce Wayne, sir. Oh, hello. How are you doing? But he's in the cape and cowl. So it's just kind of a good touch there. And so we see that illustrated here, where he goes into the lower register and kind of realizes, like, oh, I know how to do things. And so he breaks out of the hotbox and makes a run for it. Luckily, Alfred, by this point, has managed to get the bat plane into where Bruce is being kept, meets up, and then that night, Batman comes and just fucks up everything.
Hell yeah. They make it back, and his friends are like, "Man, we'll get back on our feet eventually." And then they learn
do you need a place to stay, buddy? Nah. Turns out I'm Bruce Wayne. Oh, you said you needed a job, right? Come to Wayne Enterprises on Monday. It's like, oh man, Harley hit me. It wasn't Harley, but like the other guy. It's like, oh, hit me. It's like, why? Maybe I'll lose my memory and wake up as a billionaire too. Womp womp.
Oh well.
So then the next episode,
I saved the most quotes from this episode. It was a Joker episode. Speaking of people in photo ops,
be a clown. Yeah, this is a good Joker episode where Joker disguises himself as Jekko the Clown.
Oh my god.
Got some great Mark Hamill stuff here, but also the mayor of Gotham is being a total shitheel to his son. Essentially only using him for photo ops and making himself look more relatable. Kind of like he's a politician.
Gotham City will be free of crime.
And then a cop car and a chase just happens right there. It's like, this was an isolated incident.
I'll make Gotham as safe as my mansion.
Yeah, not my home, my mansion.
So out of touch.
It's like, do you count, like, Batman as one of these rogues? Of course, Batman and people like the Joker are cut from the same cloth. Cuts to Joker watching this. What? How dare you? I'm a much better dresser. So he devises that he's gonna blow up the mayor.
Yep. Just because he
feels insulted.
Yes.
Personally vexed. So he attacks a clown for this party, which is supposedly a birthday party for the mayor's son. But is clearly a socialite party for the mayor to schmooze.
Because the kid couldn't even invite his own friends.
Couldn't invite his friends. Only the kids of other politicians and, well-offs.
Important people.
Yeah. All this stuff. It's awful. But then Jekko the Clown shows up and tells the kid, it's like, oh man, Jekko, how do I become a great musician and entertainer like you? Oh, well, that's easy, kid. It's just 3 steps. Step 1, find a magician with a great act. Step 1, run away.
Yes.
Step 2, find a magician with a great act. Step 3, steal it. And so the kid does that immediately. Meanwhile, Bruce Wayne is at this party.
Kids. Not really.
Not really. My adopted son was already a teenager when I got him.
I love Bruce.
Yeah.
Not really.
Not really. Yeah, like, Dick is already a college kid, and I didn't really have him when he was, like, really young. He was already a teenager. But he kind of, like, is able to save the day as Bruce, because he notices that there's a candle with Joker's face on it. For some reason, nobody's able to tell this, aside from Bruce, and sees that it basically looks like a big old thing of dynamite, has the Joker's face on it, and so pretends to bumble his way and accidentally pushes the cake into the pool, and as it starts singing, everybody's like, oh man, boom! Yeah. and it just cuts to Bruce on his side, just smiling like, haha, gotcha, Joker. No casualties for you today. But we find out that the kid has run away, has followed Gecko, the Joker, and is now like trying to be like, oh, I want to be a magician like you. I just did what you told me to, and all this stuff, and blah blah blah.
Joker's just like, oh shit.
Well, I can make this work. And then Batman like finds where Joker is, tries to get the kid back, gets captured by Joker, and is like, oh, let's see if Batman is as good of a magician, like does the Houdini thing where he's in water, and like manages to get out of the straitjacket, undo himself, and then tries to open the top. It's like, whoa, why can't he get out? Well, because it's not a trick cage. It's like, what? But he'll drown. That's the joke.
Oh.
It's like, no, and breaks, tries to break the glass, which helps Batman get out. And then Joker is like, oh, that's enough of you. I'm gonna kill you, and chases the kid out, and it leads to a really cool scene where they're fighting on a roller coaster. And eventually the Joker is defeated, and the kid is returned home, and we get a good memeable gif of Batman giving a thumbs up.
All right, and then we move on to probably two-parter, really good episodes.
Appropriately a two-parter.
Two-Face.
So we see Harvey Dent, who has already been an established character at this point, which is really cool.
Yeah, I appreciate the I'm like,
they could have used more episodes with Harvey Dent just as Harvey, but they probably wanted to get to Two-Face.
Yeah.
I feel. But we see that Harvey is kind of starting to crack.
Yeah.
And he's developed a second personality called Big Bad Harv. Horrible name.
Yeah.
Like that. It's very unimaginative. But it's essentially the Two-Face personality. And he goes after a mob boss because the mob boss is trying to blackmail him, and Batman tries to intervene, but in the incurring fight, some chemicals,
vague chemicals,
vague chemicals get ignited and blow up half of Harvey's body, creating Two-Face.
Yikes! Ouchies.
Then the second episode, Two-Face, this is a few months later, Two-Face is going after the mob boss that, started all of this. And eventually, though, Two-Face's fiance, not Isley, a different one, gets duped, thinking that she's helping the police and Harvey in getting him help. Is duped by the mob into giving them Harvey's location, and again a fight ensues. Both the mob boss and Two-Face are captured.
Yeah, can I with that trick? Can I say the mob boss lady is low key the MVP of that whole group? She just letting the dudes do the fighting, pretending that she's with the police. Yeah. She's doing the most, and I loved it.
Yep.
But and we had another scene too where we with the I don't remember how this happened, where Batman ended up in that building, and a janitor just sees him and helps him out, and he's like, okay, I'm just helping people. Just oh, it's Batman. Yeah. Just helps him out, and I'm again, the public doesn't really know about Batman that much, but I feel
some people do, some people don't.
Yeah, he probably slowly but surely kind of becoming the people's hero of Gotham, I'm sure. Yeah. Which that's kind of the impression I got from that scene. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, good guy janitor. Yeah. Man.
Just hey there, Batman, you seem to have taken a spill.
But that whole situation sucked for Bruce too. Mm-hmm. Just seeing his friend just spiral downward that.
Yeah, and we get to another dive into Bruce's psyche where we see a dream where, Harvey is running away from him, turns into Two-Face and is like, you couldn't save me. Why didn't you save me? And then, like, as he's falling, it turns into Crime Alley, and the parents are there under a streetlight, and they look up. It's like, why didn't you save us, son? It's like, because he was, like, 8.
Yeah.
What did you expect him to do against the guy with a gun? Rude.
Yeah.
Rude, Thomas.
Oh, I had a question about the coin flip for Two-Face.
Yes.
Like, was he coin flipping every time he had to make a decision that's moral or immoral, or just in general?
It's just in general.
Okay.
Everything is left up to chance.
Okay.
And the interesting thing is that when he was Harvey Dent, it was a double-sided coin. Like, it was both heads.
Okay.
But in the accident, half of it got, like, messed up.
I didn't catch that detail. That's kind of neat.
Yeah. So it's a Two-Face coin.
Okay. Nice.
Then the next episode was...
Episode 12 is...
it was... Okay.
Oh, yeah.
This was kind of like a Christmas Carol sort of... No, not Christmas Carol. Christmas Story? I don't know. But it essentially... a aging mob boss is like essentially guided by Batman to try to make amends. You know, it's like, stop selling drugs, your kid's on drugs because you sell drugs, all this stuff. And it's like, you could still like kind of turn your life around. There's still chance. And it turns out that the mob boss's brother, who lost a leg because of the mob boss's actions as a kid, ended up becoming a priest. And so the priest eventually kind of helps Batman get this guy to turn his life around and start, you know, kind of become more of a, like, okay, I will give names, I will do this, I will help the cops, you know, stop this.
Yeah. Honestly, this was a bit more of a forgettable episode for me.
I don't think it's forgettable. I just think it's like, it's not really, it's kind of like how the Doctor Who has Doctor Light episodes where the Doctor isn't as central of a character, but everything he's doing is helping be a catalyst in the events.
Okay.
And that's kind of like what this is doing here, where like Batman isn't as central of a figure because it's more focused on the Stromwell guy.
Yeah.
But he is helping this become more of a thing that goes well.
Okay.
And it's a very mature episode too. Like, it has mature themes, you know, drugs and all this stuff.
Yeah, you know, I didn't even think about it that way, because I keep forgetting that this is technically a kid's show.
Yeah.
It honestly feels more like a kid's show in a way, like, this is for, like, teenagers.
Yeah, but it was like 10 to 15, I believe, was the demographic.
Okay.
So, still though.
Yeah. So next up, I screamed because I'm like, oh my god, it's the Penguin. with the hook nose and everything.
Yes. Definitely a bit inspired by the Tim Burton thing, especially with flipper hands.
Yeah.
But they also make him seem more of a studious, you know, like pompous old money kind of guy.
Yeah.
So it's a mixture. It's a mixture of the Tim Burton style and the comic book characterization.
Okay.
Because that's something that is very true to Penguin in the comics, is that he's just kind of a very pompous old money kind of dude.
In my brain, I kept thinking the Monopoly Man.
Kind of. Except Penguin actually does have a monocle. I'm one of those people who thought that the Monopoly Man had a monocle. And until I find that NES cartridge and prove myself wrong, I could swear that in the NES cartridge they did give him a monocle.
I was gonna say, is it one of those things where it's like the Bernstein Bears versus the Bernstein Bears?
Kind of, yeah. It is sort of that Manuela effect. But, you know. Also, it just seems to fit. Like,
yeah.
Why wouldn't he have a monocle?
Yeah.
Like, even that thing where, like, you know, he's kind of, like, on his heels and, like, his head is here. You know what I'm talking about? Like, the, whoa! You know, he's, like, surprised on the chance card.
Yeah.
I could have sworn, like, in my head, his
like,
monocle's popping
off. Yeah.
Popping off. But that's not a thing. I don't know. But yeah, it's weird. But anyway, this episode is called "I've Got Batman in My Basement" because
Oh yeah, because this was the episode where the kids were kind of taking the wheel.
yeah, there's like a little junior detective guy who I swear only said no once, and then they just kept reusing it.
Really?
No, no. Every time it sounded the exact same, and I'm like, did they only record that once and then just have to reuse it? Or did every time the kid said it, he just said it in the exact same fucking way? Because goddamn is it distracting.
I didn't notice, oh my god.
Yeah, just, no!
Man, damn crazy kids trying to be Batman and shits.
So they witness a vulture flying, and they're like, a vulture in Gotham? That's weird. And they follow it to find an encounter between Batman and the Penguin, where Batman gets, I think, poisoned somehow.
Yeah.
And the kids have to try to, like, basically help Batman recover while also hiding him from the Penguin. And eventually the Penguin does find them, and they have to kind of, like, Home Alone defend themselves until Batman is back on his feet.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
For an episode where it's like, now the kids are in charge,
it was
not nearly as bad as other things.
Yeah, it was not so bad.
This isn't like a junior Ghostbusters sort of thing, which, if you've never seen the real Ghostbusters show, when it became the real Ghostbusters and Slimer, which, by the way, the whole thing about that should be taught in marketing classes.
Really?
Because the real Ghostbusters was a very, very popular show amongst kids. But then they hired some marketing executives who weren't aware of the show really, but they were like, oh, they according to the chart, like kids like this, they like seeing kids in the show. We really should have Slimer be more of the focus. Let's replace the guy who plays Peter Venkman with somebody who's much more popular right now. Dave Coulier from Full House. Let's have him do the voice instead. Just change the voice. Let's have it be a lot more goofy, a lot more kid-friendly. You know, basically all of the stuff that will make kids feel pandered to, but not well. Let's just do that. And essentially they ruined the show. Everybody hates Slimer in that because he just took over the show.
Yeah.
Other shows like this.
Oh no, that's unbearable.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And literally in the intro, it's like, Ghostbusters! And then Slimer writes, Slimer, oh no, oh no! And they introduced the junior Ghostbusters, who are these kids who pretend to be Ghostbusters, and wouldn't you know it, sometimes they need to help the Ghostbusters out of jams. You could be a Ghostbuster too, children. Awful. 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 Everyone who agreed with those decisions, because the creative side hated it, people walked off the show.
Damn.
They walked off. Which is amazing creative integrity. Thank you.
I was gonna say, that shit has to, especially if you're working in that industry, has to, not having that stability.
I think it's called
scary.
Ghostbusters Q4 because, like, you know, fiscal quarter.
Uh-huh.
Quarters 1, 2, and 3, they didn't have this thing, and it was so successful. It's like, let's try to get it more successful by fucking with it. So we hired these outside guys, and then let's just blindly follow what they say. I hate it.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that. Hollywood, you're not listening, but don't do that. Let the creative people who actually, you know, this is their job to make things that are creative and unique and people will like, and just let them do it. All of these executive mandates and finaglings, they always make shit worse. Why did Justice League fail? Because 1, you did it too soon because you were desperate for a cinematic universe. And 2, in Batman v Superman, which was not built up well, literally the movie you introduce Batman, you have him fight Superman even though they have no existing relationship outside of it. Also, you kill Jimmy Olsen for no reason. And, like, also Lex Luthor doesn't act like Lex Luthor and instead acts like Joker from The Dark Knight. And also, let's shove Wonder Woman in there. And also, let's shove Flash in there. And also, let's shove Cyborg in there. And also, let's shove Aquaman in there. And also, let's shove fucking Apocalypse foreshadowing in there. And also, let's shove Batman having dreams. And also, let's show the death of Bruce Wayne's parents. And also, let's shove Doomsday in there, and also, like, let's have the death of Superman in the second movie. Stupid.
Yes. You were just getting progressively more and more heated in your...
Because, do you know how long it took for them to kill Superman? 30 years at least. 30 years of stories. And this is after, like, Crisis on Infinite Earths, where they kind of rebooted Superman and made it so that he wasn't as much of a fucking Gary Stu.
Yeah.
You know, gave him, like, serious character development, building up all of these different character dynamics and arcs and relationships. In Death of Superman, it is, like, a comic full of just Superman fighting at his very best and most desperate against Doomsday, because he knows that if he doesn't stop it, Doomsday will kill everyone. And he defeats Doomsday, but in the end has to sacrifice his life to do it. Dies being held in the arms of Lois Lane, his cape strung over like a pole, kind of like a flag, but it's all tattered and stuff. And then the Justice League give him a funeral, giving him, like, parading down the streets of Metropolis, giving him a hero's funeral, like akin to Lincoln's tour home on the train, and then finally resting in a memorial to Superman, the same kind of memorial that in Batman v Superman is graffitied with "You're not a god."
Ouch.
The lack of respect and understanding for why that story worked is insulting. That is why your cinematic universe failed. Not to mention the fact that DC and Warner Brothers in general has this weird fetish for just trying to be like, no, we're edgy, we're the adult comics, and yet you go way too far with it and only end up seeming less mature. Because Watchmen worked really well for you, but you don't seem to understand why. You're just like, oh, Watchmen was really dark and gritty, so that must be what's good. No. Watchmen the comic had a very engaging and thought-provoking story about how superheroes could get disconnected from the people that they are trying to save and help, to the point where they can't even relate to them because they look so much at the bigger picture and are disillusioned with humanity that they can't see that good still exists in the fucking world. That was the message of Watchmen, not, darkness.
Edge.
You took Watchmen and thought that it was Sin City. And Sin City is an overhyped piece of garbage. Come at me. I didn't have a mic to drop, so I dropped my glasses.
Breathe, Scott.
And another thing, they should never have made Cap a Hydra agent. I don't care that they retconned it into it not really being Steve Rogers. It was stupid. It completely fucked with his character, and I'm glad that they parodied it in Endgame by making a joke out of the whole fucking concept. Because
that made me mad because again, Captain America's thing initially, he is a hero fighting fucking Nazis.
How dare you? How dare you?
Just insult. I feel like that's just insulting.
Hydra is a Nazi cell, and you decided to make the hero of America in World War II, when they needed it the most, created by two Jewish men.
Yeah, that's just really...
Afraid for their lives, to the point where the mayor of New York had to give them police escorts to and from work because there were pro-Nazi Americans death-threatening them. And you chose to make that guy a Hydra sleeper agent? Fuck you.
God, you...
Fuck you.
Yeah.
How dare you? spit in the face of Joe Simon and Jack Kirby like that? Mm-hmm. How dare you? Not to mention Stan Lee, who is also Jewish.
Yeah, he must have been. I hope he was like. I hope he was cringing that whole time. It said something to someone, because that's not cool.
Like, I am the first who will admit that Stan Lee was not a perfect human.
Absolutely not.
Of course he wasn't. He was a human. I think he would probably, in his later years, be the first one to recognize that he did some fucked up shit in trying to gain success for the company and himself. Cool. Everyone does that. Everyone fucks up and can get in their own head and believe that their shit doesn't stink. But to take characters created by or aided in the publication of by Jewish creators who were literally sticking their necks out and putting their lives on the line to create a hero to try to gain support for America joining a war that was killing so many of their own people and causing him to be a sleeper agent for the very sort of organization that he was created to be the antithesis of, purely for shock value, and then had that character murder Black Widow.
Oh, that's even worse. What the
by
fuck?
snapping her neck.
What the fuck?
And killing his good friend, Rick Jones, who was the second person to try to be Cap's sidekick, to try to help him in the way that Bucky did, seeing that Cap was isolated and sorrowful because he was a man out of time, and killed him by public firing squad, while Rick constantly called out to Cap, saying that he didn't believe this was him, that there had to be some trick, that he believed that he would stop it. Shameful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm passionate about comic books. But let's get back to DC.
Let's get back to DC.
Shazam was pretty good. I'll give them that. Shazam was pretty good. And the CW shows are actually pretty good. And eventually I want to show Kat those for this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a drink real quick. You go ahead and start with the next episode.
So this is the last episode that we watched, episode 14, aka aka the episode I like to call, Good God, I want to see more of Mr. Freeze. He was cool.
For some reason in my mind, I thought this was also a two-parter.
Yeah, I had that note in there, and I'm like...
Probably just because so much happens in it.
Yeah.
Like, so much happens in this episode, and it's so well-paced that you kind of assume it would be a two-parter. Because you're like, there's no way this could have all been done in one episode. And then it was. And you're like, yeah, no wonder this episode is the one that got the show an award.
But, and I loved this episode because we got to see,
a sympathetic take on a supervillain.
Yes.
Who seems justified in his actions, even if he's going about it in an unjustified way.
And I really it felt like Bruce really got to see the two sides of the he got to see evil as Bruce and evil as Batman, because when he was talking to that executive that fucked Mr. Freeze over,
the wage slaves,
yeah, right in front of Bruce, oh god,
because again the higher ups and the well-offs think that Bruce is one of them, which is possibly one of Bruce's greatest subterfuge resources. He
really gets to see inside everything.
Yeah. And it's funny because he had that passive aggressive remark that he was able to play off of his cold, where it's just the wage slaves, blah 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 blah. Ugh. Are you all right? I feel unwell now.
Yeah.
But just Mr. Freeze, who was trying to save his wife from I believe it's I don't think they go into it exactly what it is in this episode, but they go into it later on in other Batman media. She has essentially a gene deteriorative, it's basically AIDS.
Okay.
It's AIDS. It's basically AIDS. It's a stand-in for AIDS.
It's too far. It's not far out from the 80s where people feel comfortable enough saying AIDS yet.
It's just a stand-in.
Okay.
It's a stand-in for AIDS. Because before this episode, Mr. Freeze was not really all that big of a villain. He was kind of throwaway, didn't really have that much of a background, had no wife in the picture, no sympathetic thing, was not really as much of a tragic figure. Then this comes around and the comic completely changes that, and all Batman media changes that to the point where in Batman Forever, which is the next movie that we'd have to watch, they completely rip that origin and stick it in there. Okay. The only problem is it's not done nearly as well because they cast Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze.
Why?
Because Arnold Schwarzenegger was a big name. I have nothing against Arnold, and I actually really enjoy him as Mr. Freeze when he's being Mr. Freeze. But when he's trying to do the more tragic, somber part of Mr. Freeze, it doesn't work. Because you're just imagining, get to the chopper! It just doesn't work. Still, though, that version of Mr. Freeze got us a really cool roller coaster in Six Flags.
But yeah, that was another good episode. I honestly kind of forgot how that one ended, though.
It ended with him in prison.
Okay.
Talking to the ballerina in the glass that kind of looks like his wife.
Yeah. Okay, now I remember.
And as he talks to it, and is kind of, because as far as he knows, his wife is dead. Mm-hmm. I can't remember if in the animated show or not they ever reveal if she is or isn't.
Not, yeah.
But I know in other stuff it's like, oh no, she still is in, that kind of stuff. They're working on the disease. But, he has this thing and he's like, because he talks, because he's a scientist, he talks in a very, educated way and is almost, waxing poetic. Mm-hmm. In a way that, really helps you relate to, this guy was a promised figure who, could have done a lot of good, and he's just been forced into this fall. Mm-hmm. And as he's, as he touches the glass, because of how cold he is, it starts to freeze it over to make it look like how she was in the tube. As he's, saying, either I will get my vengeance or eventually I will die and hope that I reunite with you in death.
Damn.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So, I have a few questions now that we're done with the overview and my rants.
Oh.
I have a couple questions.
Okay.
Which, by the way, viewers, if you're hearing Discord over this call, sorry, our friends are being chatty. How rude. Good lord. Can I mute that?
I'm pretty sure you can mute it on your computer somehow.
Yeah, I don't know how, though. I can probably just boop there. I've literally muted the volume on the computer. So I have a couple general questions that I've written down, and I might ask more if I think of them during. So.
Oh boy.
Who is your favorite villain so far?
My favorite villain so far. I will definitely say it's a tie between. I really liked Mr. Freeze's backstory. I thought he had a cool thing going on. And I'm loving I'm loving the Mark Hamill's Joker. Mm-hmm. It is great so far.
Yeah. Shut up, Discord.
It took, is that your laptop?
I think it's my laptop, which is supposed to be in sleep mode right now.
Yeah, what the hell?
Who is your least favorite?
My least favorite villain.
Your least favorite villain.
Let's see. My brain is leaning towards Scarecrow? I don't
Scarecrow.
know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
We
will see stuff in later Batman media where I think your tune on Scarecrow will change.
Okay.
Because as time has gone on, they've been able to better sort of adapt Scarecrow. Mm-hmm. And eventually they kind of get to a point where, that scene in Spider-Man Far From Home where it just gets really comic booky with how Mysterio is able to fuck with Peter.
Oh, that was such a good sequence, yeah.
Yeah. They eventually kind of do that, but darker for Scarecrow in Batman media.
Okay.
And it ends up working real well. And I'm going to try to set my laptop back into sleep mode, because apparently, even though the lid is closed, it's not going into sleep mode.
Yeah.
Yep. So, let's just go ahead. And,
friends, we love you, but... I like that.
Trying to do a thing.
Like, I keep my phone on. Like, I literally have my phone in, like, silent, do not disturb mode during the podcast because I know, even though my phone could be dead the whole day, the second I try to start doing something or record something, I just get beep, 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 beep.
Yeah. So, all right. Next question.
Okay.
What was your favorite episode?
Favorite episode overall? Let's see. I really did like the... Honestly, I really the second episode. I really love... Because I loved the Joker's introduction.
Mm-hmm.
I love the whole Christmas theme of it. It worked. We get to see a little more of what Bruce and the Joker's all about. And it was nice seeing Robin. I don't know. Something about that episode. I'm like, this is fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it sold me on the show. So.
And your least favorite?
Least favorite episode, probably the mafia bosses one, when they're and the priest brother. It just didn't do anything for me.
All right, and then what do you think of the heroes that have been introduced so far? So we're talking Batman, Alfred, Robin, Gordon, Bullock, and Montoya.
I already made my stance on Montoya is a fucking boss. I adore her. I think I can't wait to see more of her. I've been like after that episode, I'm like, all right, when's she coming back? When's she coming back? When's she coming back? When's she coming back?
Okay.
I'm really liking this version of Batman. It's kind of in the same way where it's like I said before with Michael Keaton, like they're just two, like they almost feel like separate characters, but it's just, I don't know. I'm rambling, but I'm really liking Batman, but I wish we could see more of Alfred too.
Mm-hmm.
Because like because Alfred was just able to casually, well, not casually, I guess, but fly a plane. It's like, oh, Bruce is in trouble. Time to just fly a plane out to go find him.
Yeah.
Like, geez, I'm like, I want to know more about Alfred's backstory.
It's almost like he adopted into being Bruce's father figure for most of his life.
Yeah, he's basically, but it's one of, I don't know. I like characters that there's more to them that meets the eye, and Alfred's very much that. So I adore Alfred in that way.
Yeah, and because I feel like we haven't been doing this as much, even though it's supposedly the whole purpose of this podcast. So far, do you feel like this deserves to be on the pedestal that it is as a pop culture staple?
I think so, because even though I didn't really watch I didn't watch a lot of stuff growing. I guess I didn't watch a lot of stuff that stuck, but I feel like had I seen this while I was growing up, I think it would have stuck with me in the same way that Teen Titans did, where it was just a very well-rounded show. There were fun episodes, there were sad episodes, there were dark episodes, there were lighthearted episodes, and we really got to get into the heads of the main cast at some point during the series. So I think this show would have stuck with me. It would have made an impression.
Okay.
And I mean, it already has, like, even though I'm watching it as an adult.
Yeah.
I'm really liking it a lot.
So, anything else that we want to talk about?
I still don't know how the Batman theme goes.
It's not that hard.
I know, but it just, for some reason, like, I'm listening, but it's still, even though I want to remember it, it's just out one in one ear, out the other.
Is it because there's no lyrics?
No, because I'm bad at remembering lyrics and songs.
How's the Teen Titans theme go?
I don't remember the lyrics. Right? If someone held me up at gunpoint and said I had to sing any song, but I had to, like, sing it perfectly with, like, not missing a single lyric, like, have to say it 100% with 100% accuracy, I'd be dead. Even with my favorite songs.
And I want you to realize that she is the concert slut here in our friend group. She's the one who has been to the most concerts, seems to love going to, like, Riot Fest and Woodstock and all that shit.
There's no Woodstock.
Are you saying that you wouldn't?
There was supposed to be a Woodstock, but it got canceled because it sucked.
But anyway, So she's the one who's like constantly music.
Bonnaroo's the closest thing these days, I would think. But even that kind of got Live Nations recently, so it's more corporate now.
Anyway, she's the also it's more corporate now. It's too mainstream.
I worked for Live Nation, like I know how it is.
It's too live stream now. They're all sellouts.
Hey, I'm not gonna fault them. I got to see a shit ton of free concerts that summer.
And Nicktoon, what is it?
It was the
Nick Choice Awards?
the Nickelodeon Slime Fest.
Slime Fest.
I got to wave at Kel from Keenan and Kel.
Nice.
Chance the Rapper made a random appearance, but right before JoJo Siwa.
Freaking Kel loves orange soda. He do. Ooh. And also, he's Ed from Good Burger, and that means he also will eventually show up in this podcast. Probably not as a guest. We're not that cool. But
we wish.
He will show up as a topic.
Yeah.
Because Good Burger is on the list. Fly with the hamburgers. Ah.
But yeah, I think that really covers what we got so far going on with Batman. I can't wait to watch more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So I think next time we'll be talking. We know that coming up soon at the drive-in, they're showing Goonies, and Kat has never seen Goonies. So
it'd be honestly like the drive-in thing's been a really good. I think it would be a really good opportunity because I checked their Facebook and they're just playing a whole bunch of classic movies while there's no new movies in theaters.
Yeah, and it's cheap. It's like $8 for an adult.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, I think it was $9 for a ticket or something.
8.
Yeah, damn.
And that's 2 movies.
Yeah.
So the other movie is Wizard of Oz,
which I've seen. I've seen many times.
Both of us have seen it. If you hadn't seen Wizard of Oz, I think I would have had to drive to Joliet and slap both of your parents for the disservice of a childhood that they gave you. Because what the fuck? Just breaking tradition like that? Anyway, so, but that'll probably, because I think it's been a while since either of us have seen it. So that'll probably be like a little extra ice edition.
Yeah.
Some ice chips. I'm trying to think of what to call that segment. Like, so far in my head, it's let's have some extra ice,
Yeah.
Like kind of like ordering a soda.
I keep calling it an ice cube for some reason.
Yeah, ice cubes.
Ice cubes.
Ice chips.
Ice shavings.
Permafrost. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Eventually.
And eventually, I'll probably start actually making little, audio things for different segments, like Scott rants, Cat tangents, let's get into it, or something like that. But I don't know. I'm not a fucking audio engineer.
No.
I'm trying to figure this stuff out.
We can employ Mike to make something for us. He has the equipment.
No. Anyway, that's it for us.
All right. I'm Kat.
I'm Scott. And Kat, on Batman, the first 14 episodes, is now out of the ice.
I would say, like, slowly breaking out. There's still so much to go.
Yeah.
All right.
Kind of like the Dragon Ball stuff.
Yeah, eventually.
All right.
All right, later.
Bye.